Hey everyone, welcome to a conversation on 1 John. Today we're talking about chapter 4, verses 7 through 12. We're all here. It's been a while since I think we've had all four of us together.
I was looking at, I think it was Instagram or something, and I was like, oh, I haven't been there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry.
Thanks for
What?
What?
When you tried to come up with something feisty and sarcastic, and it just, he's like,
no.
maybe
Every
not
single
on camera.
time I said, and I've said it to you, boy, you are an important part of our
It could be
conversations.
because I have so many words in the world, so I'm, grateful for podcasts because I talk a lot. I'm gifted.
Yeah, we've been carrying it up to this point, so now it's not like you.
Oh, shoot.
Greg has cried a bunch during the podcast since you haven't.
No. You know what?
Got in here before the podcast, and Greg was like, "How do we have fun?"
How do we have
And
fun?
he tried.
Really? Did you actually say that? Because you are. I was like, I feel like Greg has been pretty no fun. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, you want to get to it. That's what oh, shoot. So what I bring to the table is foot in mouth.
So
No. Stop. Okay, somebody
They have rats
somebody
for
else.
that.
Yeah, they do. That's a disease. That's a different disease.
do you
Nope.
Yeah.
does the extreme cold, does it impact like the whole mood of the city?
Yes.
He vexed him.
I don't know. Just me, actually.
That response was intense.
I am the whole mood of the city.
You are.
As you would be.
Well, I think it's like everything infects everything. So it's like when you're driving,
I actually think what
and people
affects
are
it
afraid.
the most, and what bothers me the most, is the impending cold or the impending snowstorm.
You
So
know
like,
it's coming.
it's like the days before, you can feel, I don't know what that feeling is, but you can feel the entire city just like bracing for what's going to be.
and then it doesn't come. Or it does come.
Either way, it's never as impactful as everyone thinks it's going to be.
To wait for it.
It's kind of like having some anxiety towards meeting with somebody. Maybe last time you talked or hung out with somebody, it didn't go so well. And
Oh, yeah.
and then that anxiety of how is this going to go often prevents people from ever hanging out again. May not necessarily be an estrangement, but just that, I'm worried about that. And that feeling is the same surrounding weather as well. And often when people fight through and actually hang out with somebody, they go, that was a lot better than I expected.
I think we have that about a lot of things.
Mm.
I think there's like this tendency to believe that things are going to be not worse, but maybe more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And in the Midwest, we avoid uncomfortable at all costs,
At all costs.
which is lame.
Lame.
That is,
But like, it's like, why do people not talk to their parents as often as they should?
Mm.
Because it might be uncomfortable at times. Like, there's all these things that people like.
yeah, there's avoiding the uncomfortable, but there's also the lift of starting or changing anything is really heavy. And so it's most people don't go to the gym not because they hate the gym, it's because getting out the door, actually choosing to go.
In the winter, for sure.
Yeah.
All together, yeah. And yeah, I think that
Well, it's like why any doing something one time doesn't lead to a change. Like,
Yeah.
it has to be something that you're going to do for a year to actually see any change or impact in anything.
yeah, and as we walk through 1 John, Rich made fun of my
One of us.
One of us.
One of us.
Rich made fun of my
It's me.
I don't know. There is like an explosive mega bomb declaration made in the middle of this text, and about who God is, and the declaration is that God is love, and then everything that's spiraling really as this is kind of a epicenter of the whole book, is that from God's reality, it's reciprocating impact spiraling from that, is that because God is love, if you have relationship with God, there's connection with God, which is completely available because of Jesus, you love others. And there's impact from the explosion of who God is. And so just back all the way to that conversation of the challenge of starting or things not just being once, is that you can simply say, all right, if I realize who God is and I realize that God is the noun, he is not just loving, he is love. It'll impact how I love others. All right, if I get that, fine, good. All right, I'm done. It is you have to walk in that. Unfortunately, it's like health. You have to walk in that, choose it. It has to hang in your mind every day.
Yeah.
Or its impact is you'll drift.
I have a couple questions. One, what did you make fun of him for? Because we missed that part.
Because I said bomb declaration or something.
No, I said, as I was scrolling through it, the first thing that was in here was a capital mega.
Mega.
But it didn't look like mega. And then the next thing I saw was capital bomb. And I was like,
Mega bomb?
Well, no.
I don't know.
It's fine. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, okay. He said it, so I thought I could find out why you make fun of him.
I think you said you weren't supposed to make fun of people. Rachel's
I
making
didn't
fun.
say I wanted to know. What'd you say?
You got the most intense FOMO.
I do. But I mean, he said it, so I was like, let's bring it in. Everybody should know.
If you support us on Patreon, you'll get the conversation.
Yeah. Recording starts 20 minutes early.
No, yeah. That's where the fun is.
Nobody knows.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Pay for all the background.
I mean, fortunately, it's $1,000 a month to hear
Yes.
that.
I love people here for $1,000 a month. Sure.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things about this, like all the times that John talks about love in all of these scriptures, and like it keeps pointing back to Jesus. And so like there's a few things that I have been thinking a lot about. And one is like, it's really easy to look at a dictionary and see the definition of love. Sorry. And but there's a whole, like it's, that's simple, but like seeing how Jesus actually loved and is living out love is the true definition of what love is. And then when I think of like that, I think, okay, so God is love. But like, I feel like when I look at the Old Testament and, again, this is just like, not just me, but like what I've heard people say and things, like what we see of God being love, like there's a lot of judgment and there's a lot of hard things. And so when we see Jesus's behavior as acting out love, and we think of Jesus as the Son of God and part of the Trinity, and part of that, like, is God's love different than Jesus's love? And that's something I keep thinking about. Someone give me an answer. Tell me where you think. Unless I completely just confused the whole thing.
Part of the I feel like over the last we did Genesis. It's been in the front of a lot of our preparation, our conversation over the last year and a half, is that there is wrath in the Old Testament. There is judgment and consequence. But something that is really remarkable about God in the Old Testament is how he is crazy gracious and persistent for relationship. And I think that something that everybody needs to, it can't just be said to you and go, okay, fine, But I think a great study, a great time to process in reading of the Old Testament, in the reading of Scripture, is when there are consequences, and when things, not that everything fits into a nice neat box in Scripture, but to pull it into the context and into the macro view, to see when hardship or struggle or even judgment or wrath is coming, is to go, is this, how much was this brought on by personal failure or stupidity or resistance? Because I don't think anyone would say that love in friendship or love in parenting is is always really cuddly.
Yeah, right.
And
There's some tough moments. Well, even Jesus and his loving, like it wasn't always cuddly.
Yep.
Like there's definitely moments that are tough.
yeah, and I love
That would be tough for me.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
love it. So Jesus, the more family to
Yeah.
Jesus would be the religious
That
authorities.
inner ring
Yeah,
closest
because
to
he
him.
was one. He
Mhm.
was a rabbi, and so I use it as some degree of like coddling of my own issues because Jesus was really direct and a little harsh to the fam.
Like, so I could do it.
Yeah, mom is outside and wants to talk to you. Well, tell mom that these are my mom and these are my brothers.
This is my family.
She is the weight. Like, oh, okay, thus saith the Lord. But and too how he interacts with religious authority. So there is directness, and even what my kids would say often, like, this is me raising my voice, I think. And so my kids would go, "Why are you yelling?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure." Let's play back the tape. I'm not yelling. Yelling is a tone, not a volume. I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not actually louder than I would, but apparently.
But your tone has changed. I've never heard any of those things.
You need to stop.
I know. I'm scared.
But
the fridge doesn't fit under the.
okay.
Figure it out.
That was not yelling.
Yes.
Yelling is a tone.
And so
Oh,
I
it
think
is
Jesus definitely had
Yelling is a tone is a thing that dads say to themselves.
Isn't that a reminder though? Like for
that's
dads
put
to
it
say
on a t-shirt for you.
yelling is a tone.
Sticker.
Yeah. The but Jesus had tone for sure.
Yeah.
And Jesus flipped tables, and Jesus got people riled up enough that he had to escape miraculously through them wanting to stone him and kill him. And so so the complexity of love is we're all part of the equation, which is a challenge. But I do think so in the First John declarations in this specifically in these verses between 7 and 12, there are the verb of love, which we use love as a verb and as a noun and as an adjective. We do that, but we all just use the word love. And Greek other languages do the same thing too, but Greek uses different words, different it's parsing of the word. And so when it says the person that does not love, it's not the attribute of being loved like God is. It's part of it, but the word there is to have the action of love.
Right.
So the person that isn't actively loving. And so I could say, listen, I am love. I just don't have to show any love to that person and that person and that person and that person. And so it's so pointed and intentional in the author of First John. So the person that is not actively loving, doing the verb of love, that person doesn't know God. And so that's a powerful thing because God is not the action of love, but God is actually the noun of love. God is affection. God is goodwill. God is love. Yeah. And so I think to give credence to who God is and how who God is affects what I do has been part of our conversation over the last 12 weeks in this whole series, is that as John brings back focus to the main things, the focus of the main things is not just cognitive, it's active.
Yeah.
And this is the bomb, the mega bomb of
mega.
Yeah.
Mega.
So now
we call it a super bomb just to keep
there we go.
Clear.
The challenge of it is that it's so easy in any moment to just go, God is love, so you should actively love others, and that does absolutely nothing.
Right? Yeah.
Eating better will make you healthier. I get it. perfect. That does not impact anything.
Right.
Yep.
So what does impact it? Like what? Okay, so I've got a few things. I'm just like, keep thinking.
Yep.
Like one, I don't, and maybe it's next week we talk about it, but I don't think it is.
Man.
There is a moment where we talk about how the most important thing in this isn't necessarily, and maybe it was last week even, isn't necessarily like us, but it's God is love.
Yep.
And like, that's like the thing that matters the most. And so when I think about that, like, I think that's where I get like, got a little, not stuck, but just like kind of thought a lot about what that means when I hear God is love, like
Yep.
not just the actions, but like when I hear the word God is love, like it makes me go, okay, they're not just talking about Jesus in this moment. We're
Yep.
talking about your experience, because these are people these are people that had just, aren't they? They're Jewish people, right? Like in this letter,
And facing hardship.
Yeah. And so it's like they've thought about what like God is love from not just now, but the Old Testament, all this. And it's like one of the things that I was reading was this Old Testament. I mean, it's in Exodus, but it talks about how it isn't just like what that love is. And it's this word chesed, where it's like steadfast love, goodness, love, kindness, loving kindness, faithfulness, but also what we were talking about in the Old Testament, this loyal love. Yep. And how like the loyal love is compassionate, it's gracious, it's slow to anger, but it's love you can depend on, love without condition, loyal affection. So how do like us as people, when we think about behavior and change in behavior, how do we get from being superhuman to living like this? Like what is, because I think like we talked about that repetition, and like how do we move it from like what's going on up here and reading the repetition and reading it over and over again to having an actual heart change?
Yeah. So I want to use the we vernacular because this was definitely a we culture, as opposed to an I individualistic culture. But we definitely would say, so what's the magic trick? All right, John, you're writing us all this stuff. So what's the trick? So you said that God is love, so we should be loving. So what's the trick? And I think like there is, next week we're going to talk about this dwelling with God. But in the midst of dwelling, something we already talked quite a bit about as we prepare for next week is that dwelling is mutual.
Yeah.
And so I think the magic trick is that there isn't one. You just have to, you got to walk out relationship, connection to God who dwells with us. Availability to dwell with us is amazing over time. And there will be moments where you can track it and go, this is really great or really terrible at any given moment. But like, so what's the trick? And I just think that like the last question we're going to ask this week, and I think just working responsibility into it, you know, what do you need or want, or what is your responsibility as you internalize who God is and how you respond to that? You know, it's because to just say, all right, God, I realize your love, make me love others. Is I feel like that can be very quickly like the package we sell or want from relationship with God. You know, I used to be such a egotistical, hard to relate with person, but now that I've connected with Jesus, I'm super loving and easy to connect. I'm like, fine, let me tell you, Scott, you're not.
Yeah, I am for about 10 minutes in the morning, maybe.
No.
Oh,
fine. No, but I think that the thing that, like the guts of what is being brought in this whole book is God keep focus on Jesus. Relationship with God is available, and we have in relationship with Him. If you're not loving people, you don't get it. And the magic trick to becoming that is you better get up and choose the active part of love. And that's kind of like when you page back into the Old Testament and you see, like, again, reading in context, you go, man, these people are pretty hard to love. And God, you didn't give up on them. Yeah. And so to embody that, to walk that out. It's good.
Very good.
Let's just wrap up.
Go listen to DC Talk.
Go listen to DC Talk.
Yeah.
That's
Which
it.
one?
Love is a verb.
Right.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.